everybody. Now for another episode of Fantasy Football Free for All. We got 1 week in the books, and we got Monday Night Football still to come. But let's talk about all the exciting games that happened on Sunday.
All right, so what'd you think of week one?
Week one, to be honest, everyone's healthy, and so I kind of had a feeling that you don't know what can happen. There's no surefire wins, but there were a lot of surprises, a lot of upsets. You ready to go through them?
Let's do it. So let's start Texans-Chiefs. Texans 20, Chiefs 34. Were you surprised, not surprised?
I am not surprised. Chiefs took care of business, home game. I mean, they can't use their advantage of how loud that stadium can get because there's barely anybody there. They said like 16,000 were there. So, but they took care of business pretty quick. They were down 7-0. They got a touchdown called back, and then Texans scored first. But that was it. Like, Texans scored all the rest of their points in garbage dump play in fourth quarter. So, Chiefs took care of business early. Patrick Mahomes looked good. Offense looked good. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, there was a huge buzz, and everyone was like, this guy's going to be awesome, and he showed up. So,
yep, nothing else to mention there. Deshaun Watson looked okay. Will Fuller is going to be the only target that I'm looking at from the wide receiver core. And then the other is David Johnson, maybe.
Yeah, was, wow.
So
old school David Johnson showed up.
All right.
I think he was done with everyone talking, saying that the deal wasn't fair. So.
Yep. So moving on, Jets-Bills 27-17. I am not surprised. The Jets are not that good. Josh Allen was really consistent. He did throw 2 picks in this game, but he showed why he is a top 12 fantasy quarterback. The big surprise for me was the split between Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. Zach Moss looks like the running back I want. And John Brown with 6 targets and a TD. Considering they paid up for Stephon Diggs, that is a surprise. Over at the Jets, Sam Darnold, the clock is ticking on both him and Adam Gase, but Jamison Crowder looked pretty good. And in the first half alone, the split between Le'Veon Bell and Frank Gore was 91-9. So I think that there is some value on that Jets team, but it's on the waiver wire for me. I hope you don't have a whole lot of it invested in your draft.
No, super deep leagues for any investment in Jets. All right, moving on. Packers-Vikings go to a rivalry match starting week 1, and it was a rivalry game. That was an awesome game to watch. Okay, Packs win 43-34 over the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers looked good. Aaron Rodgers was ticked off, I'm sure, his vengeance play like we predicted. And 4 touchdowns. Not too bad. Valdez-Scalding got some love. Mr. Lazard got some love. And then Devontae Adams, I mean, the stud that he is, top 5, top 3 probably wide receiver, definitely showed up, got his points. And so on the Vikings side, Thielen. I mean,
Dalvin Cook.
A lot of these guys, and Cook got paid. He got paid the day before. He got paid on Saturday. And so he was just like, sweet, I got paid. I'm showing up. I'm doing awesomeness. I'm going to show up. But Alexander Madison actually had a decent performance. It wasn't like a complete
10 points
throwaway.
in half PPR.
It wasn't bad.
Not bad. The only thing of note there was Kirk Cousins looked rough. I don't think that this Vikings defense is going to be quite as good as we had hoped. With Danielle Hunter out, that really hurts the pass rush, and it showed. Moving on, Eagles-Washington, upset alert. Wow! Eagles blow a 17-point lead. Washington comes running back, playing for Riverboat Ron. And, I think the biggest surprise for me was that Peyton Barber was a factor in this game. I thought Gibson would just run away with the job, and that just didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. He was a downer. Very disappointing, actually, for all the hype, especially when Adrian Peterson got let go. Everyone thought Gibson was going to be the man, but no, disappointing.
Yeah.
And then the talk with the Eagles, the tight end committee, we'll call it. Ertz got love early, but that was it.
Yep, and then Dallas
That was
Goedert
it.
ran with the job. I think it's going to be one of those things. Those are essentially wide receivers in this offense. Carson Wentz looked okay. He was making moves out of the pocket. I wasn't upset with that. I think there are better days ahead for the Eagles. Jalen Reagor had a really nice catch. He's a waiver wire stash, I think. But this game was a surprise. One game that wasn't a surprise for us is the Browns at the Ravens. Browns 6, Ravens 38. This game was an utter stomping. The biggest breakout, though, was that we have a running back by committee in a big way. Mm-hmm. And the wide receivers on the Ravens, not that impressive. What are your takes?
Yeah, Hollywood Brown, I mean, he did okay, but he also did awesome in the first couple of games last year and then got hurt. So I'm actually not surprised there. Lamar Jackson looked good. Good old Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins
showed up. The hype is real. Everybody, if you're still on that hype train, stay on the hype train.
Yep.
That means Ingram's value kind of depletes a lot in a sense. Not kind of, it does. It
hurts.
It really makes you question, are they going to stay with this? It's not really running back by committee. They kind of let Ingram start a little bit, and then Dobbins came in and finished everything off. I don't know. If you're an Ingram's fan and you picked him up, I would...
You gotta hold.
Trade or you gotta put him in the bench.
Put him on the bench.
I just bench him. Don't get rid of him. I just bench him for now.
All right. On the Browns side, Baker Mayfield looked terrible. OBJ looked terrible. I think he's hurt. There's something going on with his hand. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb looked serviceable. Nick Chubb got a lot of the garbage time after getting paid this last week, $14 million over 2 years. Nick Chubb looked okay. He showed the burst, but, it wasn't what people drafted him in the first round for. I'm worried about this team. I think that they need to get into the second year of this offense before it really clicks. But I'm not sure that Baker Mayfield's going to get another year if he tanks. There needs to be a real kind of reevaluation and get this team going.
Yeah, nothing new in the Browns. Rotate the coaches, rotate the quarterbacks. It's terrible. It's actually terrible. But three guys, honestly, for the Ravens. It's either Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, or Mandrews. Your Mandrews showed up.
Mandrews with 2 TDs. He wasn't targeted that much, but he is a touchdown monster. Moving on, Jaguars at Colts.
Great game to watch.
Oh, yeah. And Gardner Minshew showed up in a big way. This final score was 27-20. Minshew, Chenault, Robinson, all surprises. I've been high on the Minshew mania, but it was nice to see that verified. Phillip Rivers.
He kind of showed up the way you predicted.
Yes.
Like can't throw the deep ball. He turned the ball over too much.
He's old.
So
fun stat that I found out: Phillip Rivers has more children than he does quarterback 1 weeks in fantasy football.
Oh my god!
He has 9 kids.
I thought you were going to say playoff wins.
No, he has 9 kids.
He has more kids than playoff wins.
And 6 weeks at number 1. Isn't that a wild stat? Naheem Hines and Taylor both had a pretty good cut. Marlon Mack, it does not look good.
Achilles
injury. They think he's out. T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell, Zach Pascal, all those guys were okay. I think Paris Campbell is somebody to target in draft or for your bench. So check him out. The biggest disappointment I had was the Raiders at the Panthers. The Raiders came in there and won in the last minute, 30-34, and
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
What was that?
Josh.
Oh my gosh,
Jacobs.
we all know he's good, but what was that?
Fantasy number 1 going into Monday night. And, he had 3 touchdowns, almost 100 yards. Gruden's going to feed him. He is a long-term number 1 RB. Christian McCaffrey also lives up to the hype.
Yep.
I can't believe in the last second of that game that they didn't give the ball to Christian McCaffrey. They need 3 yards. They go with the fullback. It was just mind-boggling. Put the ball in the best player's hands. Hunter Renfrow was all right, and Teddy Bridgewater and Robbie Anderson were okay as well.
DJ Moore disappointing.
Yes, DJ Moore disappointing. I
Very
think better
disappointing.
things are to come for DJ Moore.
Yes.
So I'm not overly worried. Next one. Surprise game.
Another good one to watch.
Yep.
There were a lot of good games to watch.
Bears at Lions. 27 Bears, 23 Lions. This was a comeback. The Lions utterly imploded.
Yeah.
What we saw...
Stafford threw that pick late. Should have never happened.
Yes. This game was an absolute train wreck. Fantasy assets in these two teams are limited. Galladay...
The running backs, the running backs is still a cluster. We have no idea really what's going on there. Swift had the touchdown, but that's all he did.
Yeah, I'm not wanting any of that. The one thing that maybe is worth it are the tight ends on these teams. TJ Hawkinson and Jimmy Graham both had okay days, scored a touchdown, at least one. Graham had two. It looks like he has a connection with Trubisky, but I want to see 2 weeks before I'm hopping on the bandwagon.
And it's a little disappointing that Marvin Jones did not capitalize with Galladay not being there.
Yep, I agree.
I was very disappointed with that. Okay, moving on. Seahawks versus the Falcons. This was fun to watch. Good old Russ Cook. We talked about Russ cooking. He cooked 4 tutties. It was awesome. I got him on my fantasy team. I know you got some fantasy love with good old Russ. DK Metcalf, he had some drops early, which were, I was like, do not drop Russ's balls. Luckily, it's not Belichick's team, and so he's still throwing in the rock, and then got some love. Got a touchdown there. Looked good for...
This whole offense looked good. I mean,
the whole offense looks good.
Greg Olsen had a touchdown. Chris Carson had 2. Tyler Lockett did all right. I mean, Will Dissly had a couple of grabs. But this offense, I think this is going to be a high-powered offense. And, the interesting thing is, even though the Falcons lost, they're a high-powered offense as well. Julio Jones.
Matty Ice did okay.
Matty Ice, Calvin Ridley. Todd Gurley did okay.
With the surprise.
Yeah.
Him and David Johnson, I think, are in the same tier. So both of them having good week ones.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. So moving on, Patriots, Dolphins. This was in Foxborough. Cam Newton showed up, and with
Cam
2 TDs.
Debut.
And this is going to be a low volume pass option. Big red flags for Julian Edelman and any N'Keal Harry, any other passing options. For the Dolphins, Preston Williams, Devontae Parker went out with an injury, and Mike Gesicki did not show up. He has been one of my fantasy darlings all offseason, and he just did not show up.
And then, and Howard, supposed to be the starter, all he had was a touchdown love, and that was it.
And Myles Gaskin came in.
Gaskin
looks like the RB1.
Yeah, he looked way more impressive than Howard.
Yeah, moving on. Big game. Chargers at Bengals. Joe Burrow's debut. 16 Chargers. 13
This was boring.
Bengals.
This was a lot of defense. There's a lot of screw ups. A lot of nah.
I thought Burrow did okay. For his
he's quick.
He's quick.
I can't believe how fast he is.
He's got a good head on his shoulders. I think there are bright days ahead. I was really disappointed with Tyler Boyd. I thought Boyd would have a really solid game. He really was a non-factor. So was Austin Eckler. Joshua Kelly is coming for his job.
Was that? Yeah.
If Joshua Kelly is out in your leagues, he needs to be a high-ranked priority in your waivers. It is clear he is going to be sharing some touches. The Cardinals and the 49ers. Cardinals 24, 49ers 20. This game was out in San Francisco, and they thought the fires might stop it. But you know who was on fire? DeAndre Hopkins. Career high 14 receptions. Whoo-wee. In PPR leagues, he is fantasy gold.
Definitely.
Raheem must start.
Must start, yeah.
Yep.
Was on fire. That was really sweet. I mean, in PPRs, he what was it, a 70-some yarder touchdown he got?
He was a stud. And Brandon Ayuk, inactive. Deebo Samuel's late he was downgraded to out. George Kittle did okay.
George Kittle did not do George Kittle hype.
No, he didn't live up to the hype right there, but there's better days ahead for San Francisco. All right. Here is the game that made me so happy.
The old fart show is what
Yes.
I called this one.
The Saints, Buccaneers
Oh,
at
man.
the Saints. Saints 34, Buccaneers 23. Tom Brady throws 2 picks. Mike Evans was active. He and Godwin got a TD, and O.J. Howard had a touchdown. Rob Gronkowski, 2 receptions. That's it.
Yeah, Mike Evans' only catch, though, was the touchdown.
Yes.
That was it.
Yep.
So that's a little interesting with all you Mike Evans lovers out there. That, I don't know, a lot more looks Godwin's way. Brady, okay, man, Mr. 43-year-old who doesn't have Belichick anymore. I mean, Bruce Arians is a good coach, but
he is
I don't know. There's a lot of questions. A lot of questions happen there.
I want nothing to do with this backfield.
Yeah, I know.
Leonard Fournette, Rojo, no way. Get me out of there.
No dice.
No. Now, another...
But here's real quick before we move on. Michael Thomas did not show up.
No. But
that's
Latavius
interesting.
Murray did.
Yes.
Which is, he was the leading rusher on that team. They pick Alvin Kamara and they give the rock to Latavius Murray time and time again. What?
I don't know what's more of a big surprise is the fact that Michael Thomas is actually being drafted first round. It doesn't give you first round numbers, or the late sleeper, diamond in the roughs that you find in the late rounds of the drafts, your 8 through 10s, that Latavius Murray you pick up and you're hoping things are good and then they happen. So
well, and Kamara would be in this conversation except for a touchdown. He would be in this week 1 conversation. So, moving on, we've got the Cowboys and the Rams. Cowboys lose 17-20.
Yeah.
There's late BS coming for a flag. The Cowboys offense did not look like I had hoped, though.
Zeke did okay.
Zeke did. CeeDee Lamb showed that he
CeeDee Lamb showed up.
The wide receiver 1 out there.
Mm-hmm.
We say that, but the situation is Ramsey's on Cooper and Gallup's covered, and so you got down to your third target. Blake Jarwin wasn't that impressive to me for all the offseason hype. And then over on the Rams, Cooper Kupp, all right. Robert Woods, all right.
Malcolm Brown.
What
in the world?
A surprise.
Big
surprise.
A surprise. Because there's a committee going on over there, and there might not be any more, but this is week 1. We'll have to find out later.
And everybody was so high on Cam Akers. Malcolm Brown was going undrafted. I wasn't either. I didn't want anything to do with this backfield. And I still don't. Even though Brown is a hot hand, I'm not sure what the long-term viability
is. He is a bench stash. We need more information.
Yep. All right. And then we have games to go. We've got the Giants and Steelers, Broncos and Titans. I think that the Steelers-Giants game is going to be a low-scoring affair. And the Titans-Broncos, I think the Titans are going to roll the Broncos. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Cortland Sutton, all injured. This defense isn't what it used to be. The Titans are a high-octane offense now. I don't have much love for this team.
The only way I would agree with you with the Steelers-Giants game is if Ben does not show up. If Ben does not show up, if you guys are new to the channel, Steelers love on this side, Yinzer Nation, black and gold, everyone knows it. Not so much on that side of the screen. But Ben, when he's good, top 5 quarterback, easily, which means Juju value is going up, which means Washington's value is going up, which means Johnson's value is going up, which I can't wait to see Chase Claypool's debut. We'll see if there's anything going on there. But Steelers offense or Steelers defense, number 1. So there's no way that I don't think Barkley's going to be running on them. Danny Dimes, we'll see if he shows up. I don't know. The wide receiver core, Golden Tate's with Sterling Shepard. Not really feeling that much love there. He's going to get blitzed. He's going to get pressured. The only way it's going to be a low-scoring game is if Ben does not show up and, just the Steelers' defense is awesome. So I think the Giants – I don't think the Giants will score more than 15 points.
So when we're looking at waiver wire finds this week, the people that I'm targeting, Laviska Shenault, who is the wide receiver 1-ish. DJ Chark did okay, but Laviska Shenault was right there with him. Laviska Shenault, rookie out of Colorado State. he snagged that ball in the end zone. He looked at all the parts of a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. I think that he is a solid waiver wire find this week. Another one, Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell over at the Colts, he was a surprise for many people. I've been beating the drum for Paris Campbell all offseason. I think that he is going to close the gap with his sophomore season. He's going to get closer to what T.Y. Hilton does. And because he's running a lot of slant routes and closer to the quarterback routes, he is going to be a favored target for Phillip Rivers. Finally, I want Cam Newton on my bench for whatever times I need that bye week fill-in or whatever. Cam Newton is going to run the ball. He had 2 touchdowns last week, and can you imagine when he gets his arm going? This is going to be an interesting offense. He has value with his legs. This is a Lamar Jackson lower class option. He's a poor man's Lamar Jackson, but he did it first, and he still has wheels. So don't miss out on Cam Newton.
All right, so my 3 waivers you must pick up, you must be gunning for this waiver wire starting on Wednesday is, first of all, Gardner Minshew. Not your starting quarterback, now interesting starting quarterback. 173 yards, he threw 3 bombs in the end zone. Chenault now has some love on the waiver wire on Will's side, so obviously who's throwing the rock? Gardner Minshew. So definitely be picking up Gardner Minshew, look at him, hunt him down, make sure you have him. Not, like, for right now, throw him on your bench. Even if you have one of the awesome starting quarterbacks, still pick him up, throw him on your bench because he could be a diamond in the rough just sitting there waiting to explode. Now let's go over to LA. We have Joshua Kelly. You got to pick him up. Honestly, again, a little bit of a stash, throw him on your bench, but we thought that Eckler was going to take care of business. He was going to be the starter, no problem there. But why give 12 attempts to Kelly then? Like 12 attempts, 60 yards, 1 touchdown. Definitely worth a target. Go find him in the waivers come Wednesday. Stash him on your bench.
Absolutely. What do you think about Nyheim Hines? Was he a surprise for you?
Yes. I didn't think Marlon Mack was going to get injured this quick. I knew he wasn't going to be the number 1 running back throughout the season. I probably gave it around week 4, week 6, into which there was going to be changing of the guard, definitely to Jonathan Taylor. But no, Nyheim, he was in the passing game like crazy. I'll do this. Yes, I will give all credit to you. That was a sick prediction. And I went out there who's sitting there being like, well, I wonder what Will thinks about this. But
I was on the mountaintop screaming that Nyheim Hines was going to be a top 30 running back this year, and I still think that's the case. Phillip Rivers loves his receiving backs, and the word out of camp was that Jonathan Taylor has bricks for hands.
Yes,
so he can't catch. And so Nyheim Hines has huge value. I have very few shares of Nyheim Hines, but that's because I'm down on this Colts offense, not because he's not going to be good. I want nothing to do with the Colts other than Paris Campbell. But as a waiver wire stash, Nyheim Hines, pretty solid. He will be probably the number 1 waiver wire stash because people look at numbers. But right. I don't think in talent level he should be above Joshua Kelly.
No. We need more weeks to develop to see if he actually is RB1 material.
Yep. All right. Are there any last players that you are excited about or that you think for a waiver wire stash?
No.
All right.
You mentioned yours and I mentioned mine. I think we're good for now. A lot of people showed up the way that they should. A lot of people did not show up.
One more.
Uh-oh.
John Brown. Smokey John Brown from the Bills. Josh Allen has chemistry with John Brown, and he is going to make that a valuable wide receiver option. So
he's still out there.
He's still out there.
You gotta go
snag
get
him.
That's right.
All right. Well, that is week 1 in the books. Fantasy football free for all. We will be back with projecting out week 2. Stay tuned for week 2, and always make sure to check in with Fantasy Football Free for All for all your injury updates and roster moves.